my name for those who haven't been there yesterday. This time, probably I should say that as an introduction that I have been involved in standardization for about 30 years or more than that. Active participating in ISO, a little bit also other places. And that I'm working for a company where that implements in software ISO standards. So that's the background, also why I'm leading the task for standardization here in Change to Twin. Yeah, what I want to do, I want to briefly take you back in a way to the needs. Why do we need standards? Then say, okay, what do we have? And identify some ways to help you around, and also come with some plea afterwards, what we need from you, so kind of recommendations. Coming back to that picture, which I had yesterday, now you have seen many pictures concerning digital twins, and we all use those that we are familiar with. They're pretty similar. Only what I want to point out here in this one again is what do we focus upon in terms of standards here? And these are the arrows, right? I mean, this picture should show that there are various components.
Sorry to interrupt, but we cannot see your screen.
Oh, sorry, that was my fault, yeah. Now it should work.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know. One click too few. Yes, so on this picture you see the various components. I said yesterday, it's a physical, digital twin. You have the harvesting that all of us said a lot about, and the IoT. And there are things that bring it all together, and these are these arrows, right? So we have to care of the interfaces. You need to be aware that all of these components should be replaceable. I mean, as we also have heard several times, digital twin has a lifetime and need to be maintained during that lifetime. And vendors may go out of business and you need to put in new ones. And you should need to know what is the effort of doing so, right? And usually when applying standards, then it should be a bit easier, at least. It's always a hassle, but it should be a bit easier. Oh, here we are. Also, this picture showed almost at least a couple of new items in here, but it's the same, right? The different domains that all need to be brought together, and yeah, especially around connectivity, network, and semantics of data. I mean, the easiest is, of course, what everybody is probably aware of, that you need a certain type of plug to get the power. And these plugs are different in different countries of Europe. But it's not only on that level, but on many other levels in a way where you need agreements. Then let's make it easier. And then, yeah, there are many resources that you can take from the standards. And it's more scaring, I suppose, than helping that you have so many of those, because it's, of course, yeah, you have to go many places to find maybe what you really need, and that you need to get help for. But that also we need to get help. So together we need to solve that issue in a way of these many sources. I went into Google just in preparation of this, right? See, okay, what does Google tell me about benefits with standards? And this is the list that comes up on the top, which was pretty good, I think. I mean, it reduces costs. It could reduce costs at least, so it should be considered having that in mind. And reasons for that are below then. I mean, there's higher efficiency. You do not need to specify something that other people have specified already. Many of these standards have involved people for many years, so there are lots of knowledge and yeah, competence went into those. So you can just take them. In some cases they cost. If you go to ISO, you have to pay 100 euros maybe for a standard. Other places they are for free. And this is nothing in a way, anyway, even the 100 euros compared to the value that they may give you. Mitigating risks. So a standard has probably been used before, so you can see in a way how old they are, and can estimate in a way, yeah, how well it has been used, and there are often corrections to standards also. So yeah, they are they reduce the risk for a certain domain. Consistency can be improved, customer confidence. Certain customers require simply standards. So you tell them, well, when my product is conformant to ISO something or send something, then you may have a better chance in order to get a contract. Conformity, trade borders, there are other requirements in trades across countries, of course, also, where also standards may be relevant. And you can use it when you need to buy something as a statement of requirement. That's what standards are, right? They are statements of requirements. And you do not need them to specify a long contract, but you simply say, well, I want to have you to be ISO 9000 certified. And yeah, then that's it. There's also, the European Commission has also lots about standards. So there's a link in here when you get these slides, and you can just look yourself. Just want to show also a little video, which is a kind of promotion from ISO. For the sound, maybe a bit difficult, but it's give it a try here. It's about one of the ISO committees telling what they are doing.
We live in a connected world. As we move about our busy lives, almost every action that we take generates data. And that's also true for the machines that help us, whether it's the ones we see every day or those that work out of sight. They may not be visible, but they're trying to tell us something, capturing data about time and place, how they work best, and how they can be improved. This is the world of industrial data, and it's at the heart of the ISO committee dedicated to helping industry make better decisions using better quality data. You can't see industrial data, but we can use it to create a virtual representation of the real world and the things it contains. This parallel universe offers untold possibilities, providing a safe space to ask the question that has inspired innovators since the dawn of time. What if? We can model scenarios, ideas, and solutions in a way that is creative, cost-efficient, and above all, safe. That's essential in industries where we can't afford to get it wrong, where lives are at stake. But it also helps with the day-to-day stuff, putting into our hands a greater choice of products and services than we've ever had before. Huge quantities of data are generated, and in order to make practical decisions, we need to improve and sustain the quality of that data. We know that the biggest and most complex questions can only be answered by working together, exchanging data between specialists who can work as a global team, unconstrained by walls or borders. Compatibility means an agreed way to capture, represent, and store the information that underpins teamwork and decision-making. And that's where the ISO Committee on Industrial Data comes in. They've developed almost 800 standards that cover everything from the energy that we use to power our homes and vehicles, to the product lifecycle management and digital manufacturing techniques that are helping us innovate and enjoy lives that are easier, safer, and better.
Yes, so you see, they also talk our language to a certain degree. So ISO cares in a way what industry needs. So there are benefits of standards. All that also goes into our project. I mean, all of us here, we are in the same project and we are bound to the requirements. And
all right. Howdy, everyone. Before we get going, I wanted to know that we are still trying to make some improvements with the live.
This thing, of course, goes on and on. Sorry for that. So the statement of work in a way says gives some requirements on the use of standards and also some promises in a way what we are going to do. So this is what we all need to work together with, just as a reminder. There are also big players in industry. They also require standards. They see the same issue. Interoperability of engineering data is an issue. Here, example, the aeronautics industry. So also these documents are available and can be seen. If those are among your customers, then yeah, you can refer to those, for example. Some more details of that. Don't want to go into more details here. Next section, what is out there? It's a lot. So when you look into ISO says, well, we have 25,000 standards. And there are many such organizations that develop standards developing organizations with a term there. I took here some screenshots, and I will go to this website just in a way to show you. One of the resources that we recommend is this EFRA organization, European Factories of the Future Research Association. It's a joint effort of the EU and European industry. Here, many EU projects are listed, also changed to Twin, and they have a Wiki, structured Wiki they call it, where standards which are also part of. So I'm here in the Standards and Standardization Wiki, and you can see here, well, here are the standards developing organizations listed, or some of them, I'm sure these are not all either, those that are kind of related to the R&D projects in Europe. And there are some, right? So from here you can then dive down and you have then projects and you get some information about these projects. It's a very big source of information, quite useful, I think. That may give you at least a first hint, right, of what is out there. And then from here, you may go further, you may go into ISO.org, which is also a very useful site. And when you want to know something about a standard, you just type in the number of the standard. No, I didn't give the special one, but yeah, there are plenty of them. All these substandards, you can also tell them you want to have only 2 for 2, no, 2, for example. Then there are much fewer results. And from here, you can click you further down and find an abstract of what that standard is about. That is just then for information. There are also some classifications, because that's maybe another way our pilots would like to go into this world of standards to see, okay, I need something on interfaces, I need something on services, and yeah, then you find links below in a way that are categorized in that respect. All this is ongoing, so all feedback for improving this site is appreciated. But at least somebody took the effort in a way to try to bring the information together into one place. There are also other organizations that give overviews also within the standardization bodies themselves. There are standards which are kind of guides or which collect other standards for a certain purpose, for digital twin or for smart manufacturing, especially for smart manufacturing is there already. Digital twin may come. So this is out there. So category standards I mentioned. EFRA Innovation Portal I mentioned. Here's the link then. I want to get there. And we have a resource internally in Change the Twin. We have this task 1.5, which is under work package 1, which Oliver heads. And we have 3 deliverables in our plan, and 2 of them are now finished. The second one is 1.5 is almost finished. Out for review right now. So here we have, and this is the first one, is probably the first one to look for you into as well, because that gives again lists resources and sources of information concerning standardization, also from other projects, EU projects that have the same issue that we have. They're working in a certain domain and they would like to know which standards are supporting us in that domain. In the end, and that's important, this last one here, we would like and we want to give recommended practices or best practices concerning standards in certain domains. So kind of digital twin profile or something like this, we probably cannot do it totally, but at least in some areas. And here we again rely then on input from the pilots, that they tell us what their feedback is, how did they apply a standard, was it successful, was it not successful, are there gaps in the standards, and things like these. So we need a bilateral communication, really. Brief guidance, how to address this issue now. So the main domain for standards is interoperability, right? As I said, both connectivity, communication, data, interoperability, they are core in a way to build up a digital twin. Question, how do you want to resolve them? Are there already partial solutions there, which are maybe use proprietary solutions? Are they good enough? Would you like to replace them, or would a pilot like to replace them by standards? And as we heard, this maintenance cost, have the maintenance cost been considered? That is probably a good item that should go into these deployment voucher applications, that this is a point that is addressed there, because this is often a driver for using standards. It's easy to set up a first implementation, but then it starts to become expensive, may become expensive. So which standards are there? Search, I have mentioned the tools. Be aware that many standards are really part of tools already, right? So when you buy a telephone, there are many standards in there implemented, which you do not know of, and that is good. But yeah, you simply need to, or people need to raise awareness of what is in there and what does it allow me to do and where is a limitation. And the marketplace may give you some idea in that respect. Coming back to that after my presentation. So then if it's not in the tool, then of course the question is, how do you apply a standard? In some standards you need consultancy, you have ISO 9000, ISO 8000 probably also for data quality. That needs to be considered, but it's maybe mainly for bigger companies. Don't know, need to be analyzed, yeah. Are standards missing, or do existing standards having gaps is something also we would like to know, because we can probably take some action at least in that respect. And here only one example from the marketplace. This is doing some promotion of my own. Two of our tools in a way, and there are standards in that already. So if you use those, you have some standard compliance and get some of the advantages of standards with them. Yes, I think all this already I mentioned is just a summary. Yeah, one I didn't mention, this the third one, small business standards. It's also an organization funded by the Commission, where they've set focus on SME-friendly standards. Many standards have been written with big companies in mind, or not considering the effort it is to read, understand the standard, and implement the standard. So the Commission has then taken the initiative to impact the right standards, to write the standards in a way that they are SME friendly. And there's lots of other good stuff going on there. So it's maybe worthwhile to have a look at that website also. Yeah, what do we want you to do, or what the pilots to do? Definitely consider the use of standards. Where are they required? Where they may be useful? What are your experiences with standards? How can we make it easier to use standards? How is it easy enough in a way to find standards? What could be improved there? As I showed, in a way, there is a certain network, or we have access to a network where things can be addressed. Yeah, as Gladys said, in a way, standards are important in the project, and are important not for its own right, but the industry will benefit from using standards more. So we put it into this individual mentoring plan, IMP, that the use of standards shall be considered there. So that's for the deployment voucher. It's not for the assessment right now. Conclusion. So interoperability is the core issue, we think, concerning standardization. All experiments, they're part of Change Your Twin. So, and Change Your Twin is devoted to using standards, dedicated using standards. So all experiments shall also do that, shall consider this at least. Things may become easier when you consider tools that have standards incorporated. And the focus is on, yeah, it's linking also to the first one, data exchange, interoperability in general. So keep in mind that we are a global, or a great, not a global, but a European community, a great community. And we want to help others to go the same way that we are going. So therefore we need feedback, and yeah, they will need your help. Thank you so much. Are there any questions?